What's up, my dudes? Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you guys have the most excellent day today. Now, unless you've been completely away from Twitter for the last week or so, and I don't blame you if you have, you've probably seen this image floating around of the Boykisser meme with an anti-woman spray. And as you can imagine, it's been kicking up all sorts of drama all over Twitter. Because not only is this comic drawn in poor taste, but it kind of hints at a deep-seated misogyny, which is kind of, prevalent in a certain part of the furry population, which I'm not too happy about myself. So a bit of background first. This was drawn by a fella named Blackie Raper. I'm not certain I'm pronouncing that straight though, so if I got that wrong, my apologies to everyone involved. And at first glance, it's just a Boykisser meme. There's thousands of Boykisser memes out there. There's even Boykisser memes of shrapnel out there. So, at first glance, it doesn't seem that big of a deal. But when you actually dig a little deeper into this dude, and have a look at the effect this is having on the ladies of the fandom, you're like, damn bro, what the hell? And not just the ladies either, because obviously this is affecting the ladies first, but also assigned female non-binary folks, and even trans men have seen some fallout from this shit. It really does start to hit home just how gnarly this image actually is when you dig a little deeper. And what gets me is all the people defending this dude in his comic. It's like, bro, come on. Some of the comments I've seen on Twitter, I'm not even going to share them here because they're so gnarly. It's like, if someone said that to my partner, I'd thump them. Just straight up. Some of the stuff people have been saying, I'd be throwing hands if they said that to my partner. Now, the dude has since written a 10-tweet long apology on Twitter, and he has stated in said apology that this was drawn as a joke. But whether it was drawn as a joke or not, it was drawn in extremely poor taste, my dudes. And it really is just a tip of the iceberg when you look at some of the other stuff that's floating around on Twitter and has been brought to my attention since. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, they're just being sensitive. They should just take it as a joke or some bullshit like that. But when you think about everything these folks already go through just in their day-to-day lives, not even taking the fandom into account, it really does lose its humor very quickly. And I realize as a dude, I might not have a full understanding of this because I don't have to go through it myself, but I've seen firsthand the kind of shit my partner has to go through on the day-to-day life. I've heard from other folks in the fandom of the kind of shit they've dealt with, and I've seen the screenshots too. I'm going to drop a screenshot for you guys now of a conversation between a lady named Reese and an anonymous person who responded to them with, I only follow males. It's like, bro, what the fuck? Right there is just like some of the gnarliness you see in the fandom. And the humor of this image aside, you guys might be thinking, well, if it's not funny, it's still just this dude's preferences. And I hear you, the fandom has got a large majority of gay and, male-loving men out there. But what the hell, man? It's like, dude, that's some major league discrimination right there, based solely on what the person has in their pants. If this was the other way around, if this was a lady saying, I don't follow gay men, you guys would be up in arms. You guys would be screaming homophobia. You'd be screaming from the damn rafters about how gnarly that is. But apparently it's okay to say that to a woman these days because, hey, it's just your preferences. You can't just consider someone's preferences. You have to consider the effect these comments have on the people they're aimed at. Think about how you would feel if you had joined a group of people, you wanted to hang out, and one of them was like, oh no, you're not my sexual preference, so you can't hang with us. Think about how excluded that would make you feel. And the fandom is supposed to be a safe space for all furries to enjoy themselves. And to be hit with that kind of gnarliness here, it's uncalled for, man. It's not groovy. And then to have people saying, you're overreacting, stop being so damn sensitive. It's like, women have to deal with enough of that shit outside the fandom. They shouldn't be dealing with that inside the fandom. And it really galls me to see people defending this meme, acting like, oh, it's just a joke, stop being so sensitive. Really pisses me off. And I personally didn't think this was something that still existed in the fandom. I mean, I realised my partner like 10 years ago encountered this kind of stuff. I think it was a London fur meet. They were hit with an ooh gross by another attendee solely because they were a woman. But I figured that was a thing of the past. I figured that shit doesn't exist in the fandom anymore. But after seeing this screenshot from Reese, I'm like, whoa. And after seeing this meme, I'm like, I can see it's still an underlying thing amongst a big proportion of the fandom. And it's like, come on guys, grow up, man. Get with the time. Don't be discriminated against people solely because they got a taco and not a wiener. But I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. Back to this original meme and this dude. Now, you may be thinking, okay, this guy's issued an apology. He doesn't mean it. He's a nice guy. Well, my dudes, having actually dug into his account, thanks to my other half linking to me something, you will actually see this guy's a bit of a gnarly dude in general. Now, if you go through the people he follows on Twitter, you'll see that he likes Stone Toss. Now, if you guys don't know, Stone Toss is a rather gnarly right-wing comic, which has posted some really grim takes on a lot of subjects, including trans rights and furries in general. And you might be thinking, okay, maybe he just followed them for one comic and didn't realise how bad they were. But then you go down a little bit further and you see he likes another Twitter account called Stone Tossers, which is apparently a support group for fans of Stone Toss. So it's clear this guy is a hardcore fan, and you see in his profile he actually says he's a rightist, so it's clear he actually believes in that kind of bullshit. You know, this isn't just an accidental follow on Twitter. This guy is like, you know, hardcore into the message they're spreading. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but that's just one comic account, it doesn't mean anything. Okay, let's go down a little bit further and see that he actually follows another Twitter account called Gays Against Groomers. Now, unless you guys don't know, Gays Against Groomers are massively transphobic account. They're on Facebook and Twitter, and they spread some gnarly hatred against trans folks around the world. You know, these are the kind of dudes who don't see the transgender community as part of LGBTQ+ as a whole. You know, they got some major pick-me vibes. They're like, oh yeah, we just want the lesbians, gays and bisexuals to hell with everyone else, and they're trying to suck up to the really gnarliest of the gnarly right-wing folks out there. It's really grim to see, you know, proper pick-me vibes going on here. And I'm looking at that and then looking at this dude's 10-tweet apology, and it's like, can I really take that seriously? Can folks really accept that apology when it's coming from a dude who likes Stone Toss and Gays Against Groomers? It's like, bruh. Are we sure this dude is genuine with his apology, or is he just trying to cover his own ass? I don't know myself. I'm going to leave it up to the ladies of the fandom to decide whether they accept the apology. But personally, I think this dude is just, he's just trying to cover his own ass, in my opinion. And like I said, this isn't just hinting at an underlying misogyny amongst some of these furries, but it's also hinting at the fact that some of these furries just see the fandom as a way to pick up other guys. And the fact that, you know, these women aren't what they're interested in, they don't want to know them at all. They don't want them to be part of the fandom at all. And I realise people come into the fandom for a lot of different reasons, and that is one of the reasons people come into the fandom. Come on, dudes. Don't be excluding people just because you can't get your dick wet. And I've actually seen people online claiming that women are invading their spaces when they join the furry fandom. You know, I'm falling back on the old stereotype that the fandom is like 90% gay men. And yeah, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, the fandom was like 90% guys. But times change and the fandom has changed. And these women are not invading your safe space. They're making it better. When you consider that, like, you know, a good majority of the creators of the fandom, you know, most fursuit makers, a whole bunch of artists, some of the most excellent people in this fandom are women, female-born non-binary folks, and trans men. You really gotta, you know, reset your parameters of what makes a furry, because it's not just gay men. There is a whole spectrum of people in this fandom. And to be trying to exclude just a small portion of that because they're not your preferences, not groovy, my dudes. So yeah, seeing this guy's profile, considering the pages he follows, you know, I'm looking at this apology and I'm like, is this really an apology? Or is this dude just trying to cover his ass just so he doesn't get cancelled in the fandom? It's kind of looking like it might be the latter in this case. I mean, this dude's got some rather gnarly opinions, and it's like, whoa, is this just another one of your gnarly opinions? And whether you originally meant it as a joke or not, you have to consider how this is making the target audience feel. How this is making the women of the fandom feel. You know, the effect it's having on them. Because whether it was intended as a joke or not, this has actually hurt people in the fandom. And up until I saw this, I wouldn't have believed furries would have been capable of this kind of gnarliness. You know, maybe 20 years ago, back in the day, you know, when the stereotypes are rampant about the fandom being like mostly gay men, yeah, I can see furries having that kind of opinion. But now in 2023, I didn't think it was possible, man. I didn't think furries could drop to that kind of low. But apparently, this Blackie Rapier guy, he can. And there's way more others defending him and acting like this is perfectly reasonable. It's like, bro, I'm seriously shocked by what I'm seeing on furry Twitter right now. You know, it's clear there is still misogyny in the fandom, and we need to deal with that right now. We need to get rid of that kind of shit. So yeah, I'm going to drop some links down below to a couple of the receipts regarding this, you know, some screenshots, that kind of shit. Other than that though, consider swinging by my Patreon to help support me make more videos like this, shining light on, you know, the good and the bad in the fandom. Also consider joining my Discord. There's some most excellent dudes on there. Unfortunately, I'm not very active on Discord, so you might miss me when I occasionally pop in there. But there is a most excellent mod team, and there's usually some good discussions, and I swing by there for the memes occasionally. Other than that, though, I hope you have a most excellent day, an amazing weekend, and party on, dudes.